Hello my friends, the last night it was the attack of the Ukrainian drones on the Sevastopol city, which is controlled by the Russian Federation, and this is the base for the Black Sea Marine Fleet of Russia, so experts at least say that it was the Ukrainian tried to attack the port, and partially it was successful. This image comes from the Russian thermal camera, which is deployed at the entrance to the harbor, and here you can see some sort of the boat, but it's the drone boat. And on the background you can see the very fast drone. It could be like that, and this speed, the speed of the video was not increased, because if we turn the camera, it turns automatically, you see that it's the normal speed, and the first drone just went into the harbor. And again it was a big blast over there, and I can say that probably it was the Russian ship that was standing over there. It's hard to find it out from this poor video quality because it was filmed during the night time, but I guess that it was the ship out there. And we have the different camera angles, so I can see the silhouette of the ship even from this distance. So for sure one of the drones at least went to the Russian ship that was parked in the bay. And we have this picture of the smoke coming from the place where it was the explosion. As usual, the Russian officials say that it was the explosion from the drone itself. It was successfully destroyed on the way to the harbor. But it's lies, because we know the angle of the video that was filmed by the eyewitness from this place, so clearly it is the Russian Navy parking spot in the harbor. They have several ships on that parking, and I'm sure that one of those ships got severe damages. But this harbor is kind of tricky because it has one entrance and it's very limited, so Russia put the net, the chains basically under the water to eliminate the threat of the possible submarine attacks. Also they built extra walls over here to make it harder for Ukrainian drones to enter the harbor, but they need the way out for their ships because they need to use this harbor themselves, otherwise there is no sense protecting it. Plus they use helicopters, you saw that they put thermal cameras as well, and also they use the special guns to target the drones, so it's kind of hard for Ukrainian drones to enter the harbor, but it's not impossible. Plus some of the resources reported that Russia started to use the military dolphins to try to find the drones or to attack possible sabotage divers. Well, it could be like that because dolphins were used during the Second World War. So this single entry is the strong spot of the Sevastopol harbor, but also could be the weak spot because you may easily block it with some sort of the ships if you just hit them at the proper time. And without the way out, all of the Russian military ships would be just blocked in this area, so it could be one of the strategies of Ukrainian army. Today we have the new map update near to Kherson and Antonovka, so we have the gray area and it's much wider than I expected before. So if we go to the timeline, it was yesterday and it is like that today. So definitely something interesting is happening on the other part of the Dnieper River shore, and Oleshki is very close to that position. Well, still that land is not perfect to deploy the forces because you can see so many rivers, lakes, and there are some swamps as well. But it could be used to disturb the Russian forces in that area, and also in case of the successful counterattack of Ukrainian forces, let's say near to Kharkiv in Zaporizhia Oblast, we may also move in Kherson from this position if we deliver some of the ammunition to that place. So we may easily take from what I think Oleshki and move forward to deflect the Russian attention and disturb their supplies in the region. So it's good that we have the confirmation about that area from the deep state map. And today there was the report of the drone that was found near to Moscow. Actually it overflown past the Moscow city and crashed into the woods. It had the explosive part, this one, the charged demolition, and the weight of it was around 17 kilograms. A little later one more drone was found very close to that area as well. So basically they were unspotted crossing the area near to the Moscow and maybe over the Moscow itself. About the drone design, it's similar to the small airplane and looks like the Ukrainian-made drone UJ-22 Airborne. Yes, it's the name of the drone. As eyewitnesses say, the drone collided into the tree and that is why it crashed in that area. The same goes for the second drone. And this is the place where those drones were found, very close to Moscow city. And now let's go to the Bakhmut city because there is just a little changes for today. Russia again took some of the ground over there, so it was yesterday and it is today. They've took couple of quarters in this area and the fighting is ongoing in the military branch territory over here, which was the Central Park a long time ago. President Zelensky today in his interview said that the Ukrainian army will continue to resist in Bakhmut. But some of the international resources say that the Ukrainian army already got the order to withdraw from the Bakhmut city, and I was telling you this information long time ago, I think 2 weeks ago. We got this information from the Spanish resource El Mundo, and they have the anonymous sources in Ukrainian army. They say that the main part of the heavy armored vehicles of the Ukrainian army already went out from the city using the only road that is used still to supply the Ukrainian army in the city. And yesterday the General Syrskyi, who is responsible for the defense of the Bakhmut city, visited the front lines, and he says that the Ukrainian army will continue to resist in the city for as long as possible to cause Russian severe losses. Well, I think that little by little we're gonna withdraw from the city, and during the May it will be abandoned by Ukrainian forces, but Wagner's and the regular Russian army forces will not have the strategic win taking the Bakhmut city. It will be retaken, but a little bit later. The big Ukrainian counterattack, I think, will not happen in the Bakhmut. It will happen on the other part of the front lines, but sooner or later Ukraine will return the city. And here I want to check the tactical map with you, my friends. Still, you can see there are lots of the groups of the Ukrainian soldiers, lots of the infantry forces in the Bakhmut city on the western side, and Russia still goes for attacks from the south, from the north, but not that successful compared to taking the ground in the Bakhmut city. The very important stuff is over here in Hromove. Even though Ukraine was able to build new defense lines, you can see that many of them were penetrated, and now Russia tries to move to cut Hromove, and the bridge actually was cut over there not long time ago, so they will struggle actually to take this small village, and the only successful way for them is to cross the river over here and to go to this crossroad, cutting the Ukrainian supplies, or to go straight from the city. It could be more successful compared to penetrating all of those hills and rivers in that area on the north. And in Kherson we have two of the vectors of Ukrainian advancement, one from the Kherson city itself and the other one to the Antonovsky bridge, and the Ukrainian army successfully crossed the Dnieper river, putting the military camp on the other side of the shore. Well, after the reports of the Institute of the War Researches and many international media, Russia started to fire to those positions, but it's confirmed that they missed. Actually, Russians cannot provide the proper surveillance of that area because we have the equipment that eliminate those drones that they use in that area. Plus we have the artillery systems, so they're not coming closer to Dacha area and to those islands. And as I said to you, the best scenario is to take at least Aleshki and to move forward through this road and maybe to take this small village over here. The Washington Post says that the Ukraine was planning the sabotage attacks on the Russian territory at the anniversary of the massive Russian assault on Ukraine on 24th of February. The plan was prepared by Kirill Budanov. There should be some of the bomb and drone strikes on the Russian territory, but finally the United States told the Ukrainian side not to perform those actions on the Russian territory. In this information, the Washington Post refers to the secret documents that leaked to the press, but Ukrainian officials said that it's not true. And more from the leaked documents, they say that Ukraine lost around 60 jets in this war. That's around 40% of total military airplanes in Ukraine. And I may say that actually we lost much more because many of those airplanes are not airworthy and unable to fly. That's why the help from our allies from Slovakia and Poland with MiG-29 fighter jets was critical for us, and I am very happy that everything worked fine and we have already those planes. The next step is to get the Western-made fighter jets to Ukraine, and this time from the information we have from Western media resources that Ukraine sent many pilots nowadays in United States of America, and they will find out of how much time they need to prepare the Ukrainian pilots on the Western jets. Before there were just 2 pilots sent, and now it's the larger group, but we didn't know the exact number. So this is the Ukrainian drone that was used for the flight, let's say near to the Moscow city. As you can see, the range of controlled flight is just 100 kilometers, but the range of autonomous flight is 800 kilometers. But if it flies on its own, you need to put the coordinates, you need to set the altitude, and something may go wrong with the weather, with the flight characteristics of the airplane, or it's better to say of the drone, and in our case they both hit the high trees in that area. But I wouldn't say that it's totally failed mission of this drone. We understood now that they may perform the tasks far behind the front lines. Right, so unfortunately it was confirmed that Russia started to use their aviation to stop the advancement of Ukrainian forces near to Kherson. So it happened over here. Russia used the aviation bomb, so this is the Dnieper River, and Ukraine took the control over that land before. This is the Kherson city, and now we took even this part under Ukrainian control. Well, we may not say totally that we take this under control because it's in a gray area. Any day we can be just pushed by the Russian forces because they have supply lines in that area and we don't have the proper supplies over here. As you can see, it was the huge explosion in that area of FAB 500 aviation bomb. The Wall Street Journal says that Iran continued to supply the ammunition to the Russian Federation, and for the last year they sent around 300,000 artillery shells. Plus, they continue to send the Shahid drones, so Iran is the close ally of the Russian Federation. Probably, if we speak about the military help, the closest one. However, there were some of the Iranian rockets spotted in Ukrainian army too. Well, around 1 year ago, there was the Iranian military ship intercepted, and probably the cargo went to support Ukraine. We have the new pictures of the Bradleys in Ukrainian army. You can see the new camouflage, and even the camouflage net is used on those vehicles for them to be hard to spot. Obviously, it's not a place for the desert camouflage. The similar camouflage is used on the Challenger 2 tanks, and as you can see, we have the same marking on the Bradleys, and I'm sure it's for Challenger 2 as well. So here we have the numbers and the arrow. It's the marking of the future counterattack. Yeah, probably on the Challenger we have it behind this camouflage over here. I would say that it's kind of easy to identify the Challenger even on the front lines. It's unique and the design of the tank is fantastic. Alright, we have the Russian map of the Bakhmut city. I would say more or less it is correct, not saying about this part, it's still under control by Ukrainian forces, I am sure about that, and they are unable to move to Crimea, and they move towards this place. Well, still Ukraine controls this part of the city, which is not a small part, and we're gonna continue to resist. The American armor vehicles that were delivered to Ukrainian army are now on the training, and for sure they will be also repainted in the future. And this is the British Stormer somewhere on the front lines. It is actively taking the part in the fighting right now, and as you can see, it has no new marking with the arrow, standard cross. As for Ukrainian army, that's it. My friends, now press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, you may find some of the links in the video description just below. You may also support me on Patreon or on the sponsorship on this YouTube channel. My friends, many thanks for your kind support. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.